Hey, Joey.
Hey, how are you?
Good to finally see you.
I know, right? Granted, still no pants, but we're making slow progress on
Yeah.
presenting ourselves. How's it
Next
going?
time face to face.
I know,
Good.
right? It's it took long enough. So when we spoke last, like it was like a couple days later, boom, Golden Globe nomination. So you're welcome. No, I'm kidding. Had
you
nothing to do with
you
it.
brought me luck.
Yeah, no, had nothing to do with me, but congratulations nonetheless.
Thank you, man.
How what did that feel like? Because obviously you hear people, the people handling the film and telling you, okay, do this, do that. They talk about like what might happen, but I gotta imagine it's not something you pay too much attention to beyond being like, sure, I'll do it. Tell me what to do. Where do I sit?
No, I don't. You're right because if you start to think about all the this game and the outcome, uh, you don't leave the moment.
Yeah,
And what I'm living right now is incredible. I mean, this movie, what I'm living in my life, but especially what's happening with this movie is incredible. And I don't want to lose a second. I want to take advantage of everything. That's the reason why I'm not really thinking about it.
yeah,
And anyway, uh, you know, what happened will happen anyway.
yeah. I mean,
But it feels good. It
oh yeah,
feels
no, I
good.
mean, it obviously feels great, especially I think when
Yeah,
you don't expect it. Because if you do expect it,
absolutely.
like you said, you're not in the moment, or then you're mostly just worrying about disappointment. We all have that thing. Like the worst thing that you can do is be
Mm,
told, like, oh, this is about to happen, no matter what it is. It could be just dinner,
mm,
and then it doesn't happen, and
absolutely.
you're like, wasn't even that I wanted that food that bad, but I wanted to do it, and you told me it was going to happen. Like I used to drive my ex crazy because she would say maybe, and I'd be like, well, that means like I need to know. I need yes or no. Uh, but you make a really good point because look at what happened. Look at Jodie, who was like shocked that she won and surprised
Yeah.
she got nominated. Like if she can be that way, how can anyone not be that way?
Absolutely. You put it in a perfect way. I was so happy for her, really.
Oh yeah, no, that was great, and especially in
That
a
was great.
wide open category where you're like, oh, they actually, first of all, it means they all watched the film as opposed to like the 13 you needed to get nominated or whatever crazy number happens. And it was, and just to see like a real good reaction of someone who clearly was like, they told me to be on camera, so I'm gonna sit in my pajamas.
Yeah.
Like I don't really, this isn't important. And you're like, oh wait, me? All right, hang on.
Yeah. Wasn't she classy on her pajamas, like
Oh,
just
it was
waiting like
great. I
that
was
to say
like,
hello, and then she got the
I
prize.
I
It was
spoke to
incredible.
her a couple days later during the junket at the time, and I had made her laugh because I mentioned something about she can be pretty picky these days, and clearly doesn't work a whole ton, but you know not everyone can have a meeting about a film and be like, hang on, and she comes back and just hold double fisting Oscars, like, so you were saying, she's in a very rare position, and and it's cool to see someone be excited, to be like, wait, what,
Mm.
me? That's
Yeah.
that's a very human reaction, and you want to believe that people are still people even when they reach heights that you're like, well, I'll never be that.
And I can tell she really is.
Oh yeah, and like we had talked about last time, for such a project that had so much passion behind it, and the push and pull of how do we tell this story the right way, and especially we don't want to turn off a viewer, like how do we make it a hard experience so you understand what he went through, but also
Mm.
still make it a movie that people can walk out and be like, I had a positive time. I don't want to go slit my wrists, and I think
Yeah.
you're getting evidence that it worked.
Hmm. That's true.
Yeah,
Hats off
exactly.
to Kevin.
Yeah, you had brought it up, so I talked to him when I talked to him also about it, about the push and pull of like, well, what are we going to allow you to do to me? Because it has to look real, and he suddenly goes, well, I can't kill you. That's going to be problematic for insurance. The it's got to be really fulfilling for him, for you, for everyone to be like, okay, it's the response is what we hoped for, because you make it a year and a half ago, whenever the project
Mm.
starts coming together, you expect it to be in movie theaters. You expect it to be, you
Mm.
all go and sit on like a couch on a late night show to be like, it's an important movie, but also you'll enjoy it. Like instead of, sure, I'll figure out how Zoom works. Why not?
Yeah, it's so surprising. But the strange thing is that we get used to it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh no, it's
The
everything.
very first one was so scary, It was like my first time talking in a Zoom with about the movie with the whole team, and And I talked to some people that were like, yeah, you gotta stay tight, don't move,
Yeah.
be careful of your shirt, and you gotta watch in the camera and what is it behind it. And I was just not moving at
Yeah,
all.
you're like,
I
wait,
was
this
like,
is this is suddenly this
what
is
is it?
direction. Do I get a second take?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really gonna be good on the third one, I promise.
Yeah, but at some point you're like, oh, come on, okay, that's okay. If I don't
Yeah.
look here, if I move like that, it's okay.
Oh no,
So,
I think people caught on pretty early that because of what this is, people are fairly forgiving of, oh, we can see your AirPods, or we can,
yeah.
your dog ran by. Like, I remember, I think early on the late night shows, I think were digitally erasing the earpieces. So it didn't look
Mm.
like you had them. And like, who cares? Like,
See.
I'm not gonna forget that Tom Holland is sitting at home. Like, it's not, it's
Yeah.
not gonna change. I mean, the host is at his house. Of course, we know it's weird. So
Yeah.
it's about it's like you said, it's about adjusting, and we all know would rather be doing our routines that we've done for decades on end. But
Mm.
you find a new routine that hopefully one keeps you safe, because that's what the whole point of it all is. But also you
Mm.
can not go mad. Like there's something to be said
Yeah.
for, okay, I guess I'm surviving. Like we're all bored to one degree or
That's
another.
for sure.
And like,
Yeah.
it would be nice to be touched by another person. Like what you're missing. But at the end of the day, like we also mentioned, like there's so much shit in your house. Like it's not like you don't have entertainment abilities. It's not like you can't get food taken to you. It's not like you can't
Yeah.
watch every single thing that's ever been made. The
Yeah.
opportunities are there. And for you guys, like work is starting to start up again, and it's different. But I
Yeah.
imagine, anyone who would complain about some of the protocols also like, I'm desperate to go back to work. Let's do this.
Yeah. And at least we can do it. So
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's better
what's
than nothing. You
yeah,
know,
exactly. You want
could
to
have been worse. Like, yeah, there's no promotion, no nothing, and we wait till movie theaters opens up, and we'll see.
yeah.
We
And
adapt.
yeah, and exactly. And what does that mean? And that's the thing. Like for you, it's you're lucky in a sense of, that part doesn't concern you. Like obviously you want people to see the movie, but if
Yeah.
they don't, you're like, well, I'm proud of my work. I got paid and I can go on to the next one. Like nobody's going to penalize me. But,
Yeah.
when it
Mhm.
does better and does well, the metrics are way different than they used to be, because it used to be, what did it make at the box office? 100 million? Did people see it in Europe?
Yeah.
How did it do in China? And like, you knew the answers to those questions, because that meant, oh, I get a new car. Or that meant like, oh, I'm going to be in a bigger movie next year because people are going to want to work with me. But now it's all kind of like you get a call from STX, like it did well. You're like, oh, okay, how well? No, it did well. Don't worry about it. It did well.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Yeah, you're like, this is good for me, right? They're like, sure, don't worry about it. It's so you adjust. But I mean, it's got to be an exciting time for you also, because now you're kind of fully beyond the movie, because it's out in the world, it's everywhere it's gonna be, it's being well received. So there's a little bit of like, well, let's see what happens when the Oscars are, they're voting right now, like they're literally started today. And then you can kind of go full on into new projects. I gotta imagine people want to meet with you now, who you're like,
Yeah.
really, like,
And we.
yes.
I'm doing some Zooms now, especially
Yeah,
with people. Usually, yeah, I had to take a plane and go, fly to LA and meet people, which is way much better and more
well, yeah.
comfortable. But we can still do it.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know.
mean, there's something to be said for, you are you right for the project is something the director and the producer are figuring out, but also you got to figure out, do I want to spend time with this person? Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna, be their employee or collaborator, whatever, depending on the filmmaker, how they're gonna see the work. But, you know, for months, however long we shoot,
Yeah.
however long the prep is, if we go back for reshoots, if it's a bigger project, like all of these things, if you sit down with the person, you're like, I get a bad vibe from this guy. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it's
Well,
a lot
you
harder to
just
do
don't
in,
do it.
yeah. Well, I mean, in person, it's a lot easier because you're like, there's something.
Yeah, you can feel the energy, and yeah, something that's not palpable.
Well, yeah, I think like we never.
You smell something.
Yeah, like how do we make friends in life? How do we know, like,
Yeah.
I don't get a good feeling about that person. Like it's usually just observing them. On Zoom, sure, you make jokes or you connect, you both like the same thing. You can get a sense, it's like video dating.
Yeah.
You're like, I guess I want to meet you. But if you're at a restaurant and you see them like peering at the waitress, you're like, oh,
Oh yeah,
Okay,
right.
all right.
Good example.
Or whatever, that's not necessarily something where you're like, it's awful, but you're like, I mean, you could not do that. So there's so many other things, but this is where we're at. So we adjust. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have a movie you can be proud of that I think makes it a lot easier. If you had done
Yeah.
something that like 6 people saw and didn't get any promotion and was just like, oh, I'm glad I worked and it came out, it might be a little
Yeah.
harder because you're like, remember me? You know?
Hey.
Sure, like
Yeah.
you've seen me and stuff. Fire me.
No,
But
you're right.
if
Absolutely
anything,
right.
this is an opportunity, and it sounds weird, but an opportunity to say no. Like, you can go. I have 3 meetings with people. I don't have to say yes to all 3. I can choose what's going to be like the last experience because now you know what you want or what's an ideal experience or close to an ideal experience. Obviously, if they paid you 20 times more, you'd be like, that's an even better experience. But in terms of like how you feel when the movie's over, it seems like you found like, okay, if I could do this every time, I'm winning at life.
Mm, I agree.
Yeah.
Especially when it's an important movie with a real, when it's meaningful,
Yeah.
with a real message.
Oh yeah, because they're not all going to be meaningful, but you want to find the ones that feel like they're
once in
telling
a while, if you have one like this, it's good,
Oh
because
yeah.
you also, I'm still somewhere inside of me. I'm still a kid, so
Yeah.
I'd be happy to fly in the air and throw big balls of fire,
Exactly.
to
Like
have fun as
you
well.
want to do both. Like if you do only
Yeah.
one, it's harder to do the other. Like if you only make the socioeconomic like missive about the state of the world, at a certain point people go, well, I know what his movie is. It's homework. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
I see.
if you wind up
And you
in a
don't
movie,
surprise at all.
yeah,
You don't
exactly.
surprise anymore if you didn't, it's like
Yeah,
being curious.
exactly. And then when that person wears a cape, they're like, oh, do I want to? Are they going to suddenly stop and lecture me about the state of the world? You have to balance it. But I think when you have enough roles that are fun, and then you go, okay, well, this one is like an AP class. I'm going to have to study for this one. It's a challenge. It feels like, okay, I'm doing something else. And also just as it, like you said, it like we talked about last time, like makes you feel good inside. Like I did something that maybe made the world a better place. And that's,
Yeah.
everyone wants to do that. And how many jobs don't do that? And it's so easy as an actor not to do that because you're like, sure, I'm the guy who wants to get laid. Like that's my role. I'm going to do it. And you do it well. And it's great. And you can make a great living doing that. But, it's not the same as like, oh, look here's an injustice that happened. And let's try to not have that happen again. And maybe if you understand this person, you'll be more likely to be understanding of the next person.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
It's weird, but I mean, you're like we talked about last time again, like you've been lucky enough to work with a lot of different filmmakers, and there are people who are telling, stories that are at least important to them. Like I don't know that anyone's gonna necessarily say that Damien Chazelle movies are, seeking to make the world a better place beyond being, supremely entertaining, but he's telling things that connect to him. And if you have a similar experience in life, you're going to connect to that. So even if they're not, going to be shown in school as like in a history class, they're still fueling passion. And that's another thing you want to do.
Absolutely. As long as you can identify,
Yeah.
as long as the audience can, I mean, even if a small part of it can identify to your character or what the movie says, you did something important.
Oh yeah. And that's, yeah. Like if you can, at the end of the day, if you can feel good about what you did, feel like maybe it did something good for other people and you got to pay your rent, like what more can you want?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know you have more of these. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but again, congratulations on this. It's great to see, especially a group that's sort of known for who's the biggest name, what's the flashiest movie. Like it's clear they watched a movie. They saw a thing that didn't have a huge budget, wasn't able to advertise in the same way to get people to see it. Like you had to want to watch the movie. So I think regardless of the outcome, you got to feel like, oh, somebody saw something I did, was moved by it, and then felt the need to then tell others about it and cite it. Like the thing we wanted to do, I think it worked.
Yeah, we succeeded.
Yeah. And it's crazy when that happens. And there's
Oh,
no
it's
like method to why, and you can't capture it and do it again. But you're like, okay, this worked. So when I know what I want to have happen again, and obviously, they're not all going to be Kevin and Benedict and Jodie and Shailene, but you're going to change the names around, then that'll be the next one. And you have the ability now to be like, okay, guys, in case you're, if there's any uncertainty, like, here's what we did that worked. Like, there's a tool in place, and then look at the end result. Like, I'll call Jodie. She'll take a picture of that stupid thing in her room. She'll send it.
That's true, man.
Awesome.
It's amazing. I'm really happy about what's happening. It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
and we do what we love to do.
Yeah, like that's what makes it special. And again, like if you can have that exuberance still, that's the thing. Like, you don't ever want to feel just like it's work, because people will tell. Like, you can see, we all watch movies where you can tell, like, this person's not having a good time. And it shows, especially if other people are. You're like, one, like, what was that set like? Because one, like, think about any like group where you're at where one person's just miserable. You're like, that's not fun. There's like a black cloud in the middle of all this. And also, like, again, like, you're making pretend, like, things we all did for free, maybe up until adulthood even, but this is fun and games. And if it can be important, great, but still, like, at the end of the day, the exercise is still, okay, you're pretending to be this person, go there, say these things, and then when we yell cut, you're back to being you. And that's pretend. That's literally what it's going to be. Unless it's a documentary, you're pretending.
Yeah.
So
that's why you have to do it as well as possible, because you got to respect the audience, man.
Yeah.
Even if you're not happy, you're in a bad time, just give it all.
Oh yeah, we whenever you have an audience, even if you're teaching, if you're a stand-up comic, whatever it is, if you don't look like you want to be there, like, why does anyone want to listen to you?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with, like, you hear about troubled projects, like, oh, this is in trouble, and they fired the so-and-so, and they're redoing all this. Those things almost never do well, because you hear about it, and you're like, well, if this is some like Franken movie that nobody involved making it wanted to make, and then everyone's just the right amount of unhappy for a different reason, like, why am I going to like it? Like, why should I go and watch it? You've clearly not been satisfied with this. So you're hoping you're hoping shit sticks, and then, like, you're going to con us into liking it. It doesn't work. That's human nature. You're suspicious of things that other people don't like.
Yeah.
So, luckily that's not the case with this movie. So
yeah, no.
I wanna wish you congratulations again, and I sincerely hope that by the time this next time comes around, you're too big to want to do this again.
Oh yeah, we will, man.
All right, I'll hold you to it. I want to be able to.
You're in LA.
I'm in New York.
Yeah. Oh, New York. Definitely, man. New York is one of my favorite cities. I love spending time in New York. So next time I come, I call you. We have a drink and we talk movies.
It will be next week. Will be a year since I did anything in New York. So
man, the summer. Yeah. The summer, it has to happen, man.
One hopes. I'm 2 weeks away from my last vaccine, so I'll be able to join society a little bit. So we'll see. But in the meantime, enjoy your meetings. Say no to some stuff. Say yes to some stuff. And congrats again. Like, I was so thrilled by what happened for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Really, it was a pleasure. Always.
Thank you. Take care.
You too, Joey.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Anytime, man. Bye.
Bye.